The biggest mistake you can make is let yourself get caught up in the general market sentiment that Scarlet and Violet is absolutely trash, and let that stop you from actually investing in its products. The mistake that people make is that they let their feelings change only when they see the price going up. And in a few years, I think people will look back at this era with a great amount of fondness. So 2 months on from that video, which you can check out here, it looks like people are finally catching on to how good Scarlet and Violet sets are and that they might be a viable Pokemon investment. But in today's video, I want to help you guys explore what is actually going on with the market and why it's happening. Is this going to last, or is it just a bubble? And finally, I'll be telling you what I think you should be doing with all these new releases like Prismatic Evolutions. So let's get straight into it. Hey guys, it's Pokemonster here, back with another video. I hope all of you guys are doing well. I just wanted to give you guys my opinion on what's actually happening in the market right now. It certainly feels like the level of hype that we're reaching is similar to those levels in 2020, 2021, with people actually fighting over products again in stores. So let's jump straight into part one of this video, which is what's actually happening. So aside from all of the modern Scarlet and Violet sets, it seems like a lot of singles have taken off as well. I did a video about the Charizard 151 stonking recently. It looks like it's calmed down a little bit, but we've seen a pattern of modern chase cards maintaining very strong prices. I'll put up a screenshot from ZNG Emporium right now about 3 Moonbreons selling for $1,600 in a PSA 10. It's really encouraging for modern collectors to see that even 3 years on, for a card that has like a 10-15,000 PSA population, to still be reaching those kinds of high level of prices. To me, it's kind of crazy that it is the case, but it just shows that modern is incredibly strong. So aside from what's going on in the singles market, we've also got Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes going up a lot in value because people really seem to like the Pokemon Center stamped promos, and you can see my video on PC ETBs right now showing in the video cards. Finally, we do have to talk about the two most talked about sets. So first, going on to Surging Sparks, that's releasing this week on Friday. So depending on when this video comes out, it might have already released by then. The booster box prices are doing extremely well, going up to $160. I should say that this isn't something that should usually happen on a normal release. So in the US on TCG Player, you'll see they're going for $160. If you look at the actual sell-through rate on TCG Player, you can see that there's hundreds of boxes being sold on there. And just remember, obviously TCG Player is just one part of the Pokemon market in the USA mainly. Surging Sparks booster boxes are selling for around 110 to 120 pounds in the UK. Usually, so for my US viewers, usually a booster box from Scarlet and Violet, you'd expect to be able to pre-order at 95 to 99 pounds. So even in the UK, we are seeing those hype effects. And to be honest, it is a really good set. I did a video about Surging Sparks. So in some ways, it is sort of justified. It's just that that growth is happening really quickly. It's kind of sort of growth you'd expect to happen over a few months in modern terms. And it's happening before the set has even released. Question mark as to whether you should be investing into the Pokemon Center ETBs for Surging Sparks, because they have a really nice Magneton stamped Pokemon Center promo drawn by Shinji Konda, and the last time that I saw, those PC ETBs were still available. So that's sort of what's happening with Surging Sparks. And then we look at Prismatic Evolutions. There's been hundreds and hundreds of videos on YouTube in the past week. There's been so much news about it. The main key theme of the news is that whenever the Pokemon Center or a store has been releasing pre-orders for this set, which comes out on the 17th of January next year, but then has a staggered release for different products, every time the Pokemon Center puts something on for pre-order, it's selling out within 20 minutes to a few hours. So the PC ETBs sold out within 7 to 8 hours here in the UK, and I feel like that's what really put everyone on notice as to A, the strength of modern, but also B, the hype and expectation around this set, because every other product they've released since then has been selling out very quickly, including the booster bundles. Now, I'll be giving you my thoughts about what you should be doing with Prismatic Evolutions later on in this video. So why is this happening? Well, there's a few reasons. The first one that I really want to focus on is actually an organic one, and I really do believe that it's a common known trend that Pokemon releases better sets towards the end of a generation. I believe that people were perhaps mistakenly comparing the start of the Scarlet and Violet era to the end of the Sword and Shield era, which gave an impression that Scarlet and Violet isn't that good. When you look at it in overview now with everything that's been released so far, I really do think it is a very strong era. So the first thing really is that this is almost a predictable pattern that towards the end of the second year, you start to get some really good sets. By this point in Sword and Shield, we'd already had Evolving Skies and Fusion Strike, and Celebrations was pretty much coming out around this time. So I do believe the set strength is the primary factor that's causing the hype. However, there are obviously other factors, one of which is just the time of year that it is. It's the end of the year, it's winter, so people in the US, Canada, UK are staying home a bit more. Match that together with the fact that Christmas is coming up, people need to get Christmas gifts, and the sets are looking really good. That's why you sort of get a perfect storm of everything, which leads to the prices going up. Now, I don't believe that these explanations alone are why, or explain why the prices have been going up so high and so fast, but I certainly do believe that they go some way to explaining it. There are other market conditions that are probably conducive to investing in assets at the moment. For example, cryptocurrency seems to be doing really well. Bitcoin is reaching all-time highs at the time of publication of this video. Obviously, we've just had some voting results in a certain country that I won't mention so I don't get flagged just in case, but it seems like the markets reacted very well. So I really do believe that the reason why it's happening is just that Modern is so strong and so popular. The quality of the cards is so good. It just seems like the hobby is extremely strong at the moment. Now, we have reached a mania or frenzy phase where we're attracting in people who don't necessarily just do Pokemon or know anything about Pokemon. So that is going to lead to the market heating up even more, maybe more than what people would want, because it does seem like people have some difficulty in getting product at the moment. Okay, so I've talked about what's happening, I've talked about why it's happening. Now I want to talk about whether it's a bubble or whether this is going to last. I'm not a genie who can foresee the future, right? What I would say is that a lot of the price rises that are happening for some singles feels a little bit unnatural with how quickly they're going up. Don't be surprised if the PSA 10 modern chase cards go down. However, I don't believe that those prices going down is going to lead to a market crash in other areas like sealed investing. And that would be sort of my criteria for what would cause or count as a bubble, is if one or two things that are leading the bull market at the moment are going down, is that going to lead to a mass sell-off and mass panic? And if the Charizard SIR from 151 PSA 10 goes from $500 to $300, I don't think it's going to make a difference to the prices of Prismatic Evolutions and Surging Sparks. So my answer and my belief is that we're not in a bubble at the moment. I do believe that fundamentally Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions have good value in it, so they're not being extremely overpriced. So before I get on to the next bit, let me know in the comments, do you think that Prismatic Evolutions is going to be the best set of the Scarlet and Violet era? Do you think it's better than 151? And that in some ways is going to lead into my answer as to whether I think this is going to last. As I said, we are going into the final year of Scarlet and Violet very soon. We know that there is a Team Rocket set that's coming that people are potentially even more hyped for than Prismatic Evolutions. We know that there is going to be Heatwave Arena in Japanese, which is going to have a Cynthia's Garchomp. We know that there's going to be a Black Bolt and White Flare set, so there's some very exciting things coming up. On top of that, we still have Legends ZA coming out, and I believe that is coming out before the start of Generation 10. What that means is that we should be getting some sets that focus around Legends ZA, which may potentially bring back Mega Evolutions as well. So what's on the horizon, I believe, is going to contribute to this sustained belief and market hype in English product. The real test for what's going to happen really is what happens in January to February, because typically those are months when people don't really have money to spend. So if we see that people are still spending a lot of money on Pokemon products there, I think that will be a really good indicator to what's going to happen to this market. what should you do in the current market? Should you be selling your stuff? Should you be buying stuff? Should you be paying above MSRP for Prismatic Evolutions and Surging Sparks? I'm gonna get onto that right now. My advice on Prismatic Evolutions is do not panic. If you're just a collector that wants to open some things, just remember that Prismatic Evolutions is being released over an 8-month window. As I said before, I do not believe that Prismatic Evolutions is going to be the best set of the Scarlet and Violet era. What that means is that by the time that the 3rd or 4th product comes out, we're going to have the Team Rocket sets and other really hot sets competing with Prismatic Evolutions for your wallet money and everyone else's wallet money. So if you personally really like Prismatic Evolutions, I do believe you will get an opportunity to buy some of the products at MSRP. The one thing that I think you might have some difficulty getting is the Prismatic Evolutions PC ETB, because you can only buy that for MSRP from one location. But if you think about the other products that sold out, like the surprise box, which I'm not a huge fan of, the booster bundle, which has been released for pre-order and is coming out in March, those, especially the booster bundle, should be getting consistent restocks into the year after even. My basis and evidence for that is what's happening with Pokemon 151 at the moment. I've managed to capture 2 booster bundle restocks in the last 2 months. These booster bundles are really compact and small products. They're easy to reprint, so I believe that everyone will get an opportunity to open the product. The only question is whether you are willing to wait or not. If you are happy to lose some money in terms of overpaying, then go for it. I'm not going to stop you. If you're trying to do this in the most efficient way possible, don't panic. And also, especially, don't panic about the fact that booster bundles have sold out for now, because I do expect them to be restocked more between now and March, as well as loads of more pre-order waves being released by your local game stores as well. So the long and short of it to me is everyone is panicking about Prismatic Evolutions on YouTube at the moment. Indeed, the alt arts look pretty good, but in my opinion, they're not as good as those in Evolving Skies. So the conversation about this being Evolving Skies 2.0, I think is a little bit redundant personally, especially because Evolving Skies is the best set of the Sword and Shield era, and I don't believe that this will be the best set. The final thing that I'm predicting is going to happen to the market, we might see a slight uptick in Japanese product prices. This is very similar to what has happened before, which is if English gets too hyped up and there's just like no supply going around, people will turn to the cheaper alternative, and Japanese certainly is that at the moment, with prices still being at or below MSRP for a lot of booster boxes. If people get frustrated to the point that they're not able to buy English product, I do believe they are going to turn to Japanese, especially because of how available it is. Now, once people do that, I do believe that we are going to get a slight uptick in Japanese prices, probably nowhere near what's happening with English at the moment. If you did find this video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and obviously commenting with your thoughts on Prismatic Evolutions, and happy collecting.